I never fished pro, right? Like I thought about it when I was like younger and that, but I always kind of wanted to go a more stable pathway. And that's exactly what we're gonna talk about today. So when people are asking like what it takes to fish as a pro, like a lot of guys will give you a lot of BS and a lot of fluff, but the reality behind it is a lot more stressful, a lot more expensive, and a lot different than what people actually imagine. So right over here, again, I got my buddy Jacob Wall. He's an MLF BPT pro. He's one of my good buddies. He's one of the most straight up dudes that I know and an absolute hammer. So what I did is I made a bunch of really cool questions. So we're gonna dive into what the actual reality is to fishing as a pro versus what you hear and all the fake stuff out there. So hit that like and subscribe button, let's get to it. So here's my buddy Jacob. You guys have seen him in a bunch of videos. What's your Instagram and all that?
It's Jacob Wall Fishing across the board.
Jacob Wall Fishing. Look him up. If you want to follow a straight up good dude, this is the one to follow. So Jacob, I got some questions. I'm gonna drill you. The only thing I ask is just be honest with us, you know, like,
Absolutely.
and I know you will, because that's kind of the way you operate. So what was your sort of like gateway into professional fishing? Like what was that moment that you pivoted on?
So yeah, I fished the Costa Series, which is now the Toyota
Yep.
Series, on the West. That was my first year out of college. I jumped into that. And I was just like, all right, I want to compete. I want to continue to,
Right.
you know, compete. What's the next level? How can I go to the next level? And on the West Coast, we don't have as many options as we do out here in the South. So it really was either that or just kind of stay where I was and compete at club events and that kind of stuff. And I was like, man, I can't really advance doing the club stuff. So I jumped into the Costa Series, and my first year out, I think I finished 8th in the points, and that year they were taking top 10.
Yep.
So it put me in a position where I immediately, first year out of school, had to make the decision, well, do I pursue this dream? I have it in front of me now.
Right.
Like it's actually available. I got a call from Bill Taylor that year. It was 2018. I got a call from Bill Taylor. He was our tournament director. And Bill has since retired, but Bill goes, Jacob Wall, I just want to let you know you have qualified for the FLW Tour. I mean, a crazy call. I never would have thought that just a year prior in college that I would have that opportunity so close out of school to then fish as a professional. But that's how it happened. Financially, when I qualified, I was like, dude, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And so very thankfully, I had my parents' support the first couple of years.
Right.
If I didn't have that, there'd be no way I'd be out here today.
Well, I mean, you gotta have a jumping off point, dude.
Yeah.
And your parents have always been your biggest fans, dude.
Absolutely.
I've seen it at like the MLF tournaments that I've gone to.
Absolutely.
That's a perfect staging point though for this question. And now it's gonna get a little hard. So I know I've always wondered about it, and I know a lot of you guys wonder about it. And I think Jacob Fouts talked about it, kind of in a negative way even. But like when it comes down to it, you're at the BPT level, you're at the highest level. Like what is your actual like overhead cost in a tournament? Like if you were to add up, like you fished the Red Crest a few weeks back and all that, like what do you go in down by when you're actually fishing a derby?
Well, it's changing. You know, it's constantly kind of changing. Every year it changes a little bit, but it's expensive. You know, it's like $6,000 to enter into each event.
So just the entry is like $6 grand.
Yeah, so it's $45,000 total to fish the whole season.
How much gas do you think you burn on one event, approximately?
You know, it varies a lot. You know, it depends on how I practice. It depends on how much water I cover, obviously. You know, I mean, a bass boat doesn't get great fuel economy, a couple miles to the gallon. So if I decide I want to cover a bunch of water, I may burn $300-400 in practice. And then come to the tournament, typically speaking, the tournament's less gas.
Yeah.
If it ends up being more, usually it's a bad tournament. Because I'm running
good,
around
dude.
like a chicken with my head cut off. So typically in the event, the gas bill goes down a little.
Okay.
Practice bill's more because you're covering more water, looking around. Typically speaking, I would say all in, you know, with entry fees and everything, I mean, you're looking at like $7,000-8,000 per event.
And
Probably
that's not
8,500.
including like you have the boat. You know, you got a bunch of tackle. Maybe you buy specific tackle for the location that you're going to. You're eating, and then the other thing is like food and lodging. Like, so you're lucky sometimes when they come to Guntersville because you're here already, right?
Absolutely.
But like you're paying for lodging. That's $100 a night. Maybe do you travel with anybody to kind of reduce that?
I used to. I stayed with some people a few times. I've stayed, you know, Ryan Salzman and I actually roomed together for I think half a season. You know, it was good. I've roomed with a few people. It's good. It saves you some money. But the thing that I run into is I'm very respectful. I like to talk to people. I like to give them their time to chat. And I find myself putting myself at a detriment, in my opinion, for my event. Like I'll stay up too late.
Yeah.
I'll chit chat on the couch when I should be out
You're
there
not
rigging
focused.
rods.
Yeah.
Like my focus is not where it needs to be.
So in a way, it's actually, you need to spend more so you're doing it right. Like
And
so you
my-
can stay
yes, for
alone
me-
and focus.
For me, I have
I'd
to.
be the same way, dude.
Because I don't really care ultimately how someone else is getting bid. Like it doesn't matter
Yeah.
to me, because odds are like I could go try to do that and probably not make it work the same way they're doing it anyways.
Right.
Because it's a lot of the times, you know how it is, it's very nuanced.
Yeah.
Everything's even something that may seem simple, when you put somebody else in that position, it may be so
game.
different.
It's
for them.
hard catching somebody else's
It's
fish,
exactly
dude.
right. So it hasn't helped me staying with other people. If anything, it's been a
Detriment. A lot of guys have this fairy tale notion, especially especially around Guntersville. There's so many pro guys that are around here,
Sure.
and a lot of them are like, they're super Hollywood, right? They made it. Justin Lucas, Randy Howell,
Yep.
freaking
Swindle.
Gerald Swindle's a
Yep.
great example.
Yeah.
Like they live really good lives. They have nice houses. They're well off, right?
Sure.
But and I'm not saying you're not, but the reality
Working
of
there,
pro fishing, that's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
what actually like is the reality of someone who's either not like a big brand like a Gerald Swindle,
sure.
and someone who's maybe not like a hashtag 100-time World Series winner like Kevin Van Dam? Like,
Yeah.
what's the reality of like the blue collar tournament angler?
The reality of it is that, I mean, it's an immense amount of work. I mean, the sponsorships are really, you have to build something. I mean, as a professional. Like when I first started hanging out with you, fishing with you out here, I mean, really, like no one knew who
You had
I was.
nothing, dude.
No one
Like,
knew who
yeah.
I was. I didn't have a following really that much. The industry didn't know who I was.
Yep.
The biggest thing that I struggled with was, I think a lot of people see, now that I've done this for a while, I kind of gained perspective, so I can put myself in a different position looking back on
100%.
when I started. I don't blame these people for not wanting to sponsor me when I started. They want to see who the heck I am.
Yeah.
They want to see if I maintain in the industry.
Yeah.
Ultimately, there's so many people that do what I do or that have done what I've done, and they just do it for a year or two,
Yep.
and then they're done. And those types of people, they're requesting a lot of the same things that I'm requesting, but these companies, they don't know whether their money that they're investing is actually going to profit them anything
Right.
in the future. And a lot of times in all reality, like paying a guy to go out there and promote product, you may not see immediate ROI,
Mm-hmm.
but you're creating more recognition for your brand, and it's
Right.
important. And these companies want to make sure that they're getting behind somebody that's stable,
Right.
that's consistent, that's going to continue to show up year after year. All these things are important, well-spoken. And so I had to build that. I had to
Yeah.
work for, years to build that. I mean, I think the thing is, guys say like 5 years in any business before you start really seeing a profit.
that's true.
And
Yeah.
that was kind of what it was for me. Like
Yeah.
after about 5 years, so 2 years ago, I finally started to get to where I was like, okay, like I've got some
Yeah.
breathing room a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
things are starting to kind of come together. Like I've got good, consistent, people over here, good, consistent people over here, like starting to really understand like where I want to be. You know
Right.
what I mean? Because at the beginning, I'm just like, man, I don't know the ins and the outs of the industry, especially growing up on the West Coast.
Yeah.
I'm not as in as, let's say, Fisher and I, Hayden Marbett, Tucker Smith, who have grown up in this area.
Yeah.
So it's different for me. I had to really find my footing in the industry, and it took me a while.
I think one thing people don't recognize is how maybe you're not living on the edge of a cliff,
Sure.
but you're definitely walking on a sidewalk that's right next to a cliff.
Absolutely.
How do you deal with, because this is the thing that always drove me away. I wanted stable income, stable
Yeah.
money. Like, how do you deal with the fact that, like, if you turn too far to the left and take too many steps to the left, whether that's, maybe coming up short on tournament finishes,
Sure.
maybe you can't like execute on some brand partnerships and that.
Sure.
How do you deal with that mentally? Like every day that you're on the water trying to catch fish and trying to execute from a competitive level.
Gosh, it's so hard, man. I mean, because growing up, like fishing was my getaway. I mean,
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
That's what it was. It was like when I was in school, I fished so that I could stop thinking about school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when I was working, I fished so I could stop thinking about work.
Yeah.
And now fishing is my work.
Right.
So it is tough to juggle. I mean, I when I first started, I heard some people say, "Well, you don't want to burn out your passion. You don't
Yeah.
want to get burned out." I don't think by any means I've burned out, but I could definitely see where it gets harder. It can be a challenge. I mean, something that was, always a fun getaway has turned into my full-time job. And like you said, you're walking a fine line.
How do you maintain it though? Because you have like a good you're one of the more, I'm kind of pessimistic about stuff. Like,
Sure.
do you have processes? Because like guys who are efficient, whether they're efficient the BPT, the Toyota, whatever,
Yeah.
like I think that's valuable. Like, do you have processes that you use to kind of keep your head clear?
One of the things that I've taken with me probably from about 3 or 4 years ago that I had heard is don't get too high and don't get too low. Like, don't
That's
get too
good.
mad or too
Yeah.
upset, and don't get too excited when things are going right.
Breaking
Like-
rods over your leg.
Whatever it may be, dude. Like, I don't know. It's like getting fired up and, you know, getting really pumped. And
Yeah.
then the next tournament you go out there and it's like it's hard to maintain that level of
Yeah.
excitement. It's like you're better off if you just stay neutral. I'll be
And you
honest.
work, like you kind of work through everything, like
Yeah.
treat it almost like a job. Like I need to execute on this task, I need to check this box, move forward. You know, that's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, just task oriented, one thing at a time. One thing that I do that I'm thinking about it now, I make sure that my boat is extremely organized. So like I've heard guys talk about, well, you know, I'm putting more stuff in for this time of the year.
Right.
Man, I'm like clearing stuff out, putting stuff in. Like I'm constantly sorting
Yeah.
tackle in order to keep my mind like clear. I
That
want to be
makes a
able to
lot
know,
of sense, yeah.
like when I open this hatch, like I don't have leftover stuff from the spawn in
Yeah.
there when it's a post-spawn deal. Like everything in there set up for the next, you know,
Because it clouds your
state.
mind, it clouds your state of mind. Yeah,
Just
that
try
makes a
to
lot of
keep
sense.
everything in order, you know, like, and that goes, I think, for any part of life, really.
Yeah.
It's just like owning your own business, doing anything, essentially. It's just trying to keep things in order.
So you mentioned business, and this is a perfect transition to what's probably going to be my last question. And actually, if you guys got any questions for Jacob, there's 2 ways to hit him. Dude, one, drop it down in the comments box. I'm sure he's going to answer any of the comments that you put down there if you got any specifics. Otherwise, jump on his social media, Jacob Well Fishing. You can ask him anything. He answers Instagram messages, all that kind of shenanigans. So let's have like an honest talk about sponsors. There's a million
Okay.
videos about like, oh, this is how you get sponsors. What? So you've been successful at this. I've seen you go from very little, if not nothing, to like you're able to provide for yourself, your wife, like you're
Yeah.
fishing the tournaments. What is the biggest recommendation for someone making a pitch to these sponsors and how to reach out or how to like present yourself? Like what's the pitch that you're successful with?
I'll be honest, it's super simple. My pitch is very basic. Like I try to just get a connection with the people involved in the company. So like I try to like actually become like connected to the person that I'm dealing
Right.
with. Like regardless of the company, regardless of their position in the job,
Mm-hmm.
I want to actually be like friendly and friends with the individuals that are in the business. Like I want to be able to like have a genuine relationship, you know, somebody that I can text and like it's not just because I'm on their team. It's like I genuinely
It's
like
not
this
hashtag
person.
I want money. It was
It's-
like, hey dude, you catch them the other day kind
It's
of
like
thing.
it's like genuine. Like I actually enjoy like this person and working with this person. So like I've really worked hard to, you know, find those people in this industry that I align with, that I work well with, and I mean it's such a challenge to approach somebody and ask for money.
100%.
I mean, people their immediate response is to put up a wall and say
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
I mean, that's their immediate response. And it's just natural. I mean, we don't want to give stuff out for free
Right.
because we've worked so hard for it.
Right.
You know?
Because like it's once again comes back to like the relationship building trust. Like
Yes.
when I shoot the videos, I need to build a certain level of credibility. Like,
Yes,
like
yes.
I'm not just some clown for like I'm not the greatest at it, but like I can catch some fish, I can figure some stuff out. I have to
Sure.
build credibility. You have to build trust before you actually get somebody to drop their walls, and they're willing to invest because really they're investing in their company and in their brand, but they're investing in you to sort of execute on that job, I guess.
They're investing in you to execute that job, and they're also investing in a person. And if they don't know that person, it's a
That's
very
true, too.
risky investment.
That's because it's their brand. Dude.
It's their
Like,
brand. And
yeah.
if they put their name with somebody else that they in turn don't really know, it's a risk. It's a big
that's
risk.
the word, dude.
It's a big risk.
It's a
So
financial risk and it's a branding risk.
It's a branding
too.
risk because you never know what that person is capable of saying or doing on the water. And
That's why nobody pays me, Jacob. I do some dumb shit.
no, I mean, ultimately, like, let's say if you're 15 years old watching the video and you want to fish professionally, or any age for that matter, but if you're pursuing sponsors, I'd say the best thing that I would recommend is, I mean, I still work with a number of local companies.
Yeah, 100%.
And that is truly because I can have a closer relationship with the people involved in the company. So what I would say is, depending on where you are, wherever the viewers are at, look around that surrounding area, find which
really
companies are in that area, and then create a connection with the people involved.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, like, if you become friends with somebody that is involved with, let's say, I'm just looking at your mount, Precision Sonar, they're going to be a lot more likely to want to work with you than if you just go, hey, I'm so-and-so.
Oh, 100%. That's how I freaking linked up with it. Me and Jordan Artman were buddies, dude. And
go.
like, it blossomed into a relationship. And then I got on a private lake, which I got to take you there. That's a whole nother video. But yeah, you're 100% right, dude. Like, you build, and then there's trust in between you two, too. So you can work, I do creative things, right? Sometimes I walk the line with a few things. If I have a relationship with somebody, there's trust in my creative direction.
Absolutely.
There's trust in your choices and the way you compete and the way you approach things. And really, that's the basis for all of that stuff.
That's it. Yeah, you just stay true to who you are and try to build relationships with the people. Don't worry so much about what name is there. Like, just find good people and align yourself with good people.
That's a really good point. Because it feels a lot better to make money and to get behind something that you, like, honestly actually like.
That's the way I've structured my business.
And you guys, just to be critical, you guys look a lot better and you talk about things better when you believe it. Like, you can tell dudes who are fishing, like BPT or whatever, who are literally getting paid, and they're talking about it, and they're not, like, believing they're not behind it. And that's what I've always respected about you, is, like, you like the stuff that you use, you like the stuff that you throw, you're behind the brands that you use. Like, it's not just a topical relationship, you know, a financial burden relationship thing.
No, I mean, it's like, if they're willing to go above and beyond for me, help me out, I do the same in return for them.
Exactly.
It's a mutual, it's a give and a take.
It's like the mob. It's like, hey, do a little of this for me, I'll do a little of that.
Yeah, pay you to go kill this guy over here.
No, it's not what we're doing.
I mean, you're talking about the mob here, Mikey. That's pretty much what the mob does.
It's true. We're going to wrap this video up. If you guys got any questions for Jacob, or if you guys want to shoot another video about this, I'd be down with that. So just drop kind of your questions down in the comments box. Jacob is a super good dude, and I think that perspective is really important. There's a lot of things that are fluffed out, puffed, and like fake about what a lot of guys think about actual real tournament fishing and making your money in fishing. And Jacob is a great resource to actually learn what you need to do. So if you guys got questions about that, hit him up. Hit that like and subscribe button for me. I don't know if you guys knew this, but the dog has been snoring in between us the entire time. So we're gonna wrap this up, gonna try to catch some more fish. Later, my homies.